Welcome to You Can Sit with LUXE, our new podcast where real estate meets real life. Here we will take you behind the curtains at LUXE Properties to showcase our culture, our team, and how we elevate the real estate experience and everything in between. Welcome again to You Can Sit with LUXE. I am your host, Wesley Ulloa, and I have a very special set of guests for you guys today, here to talk about home inspections and why it's important to you. So I have the pleasure of introducing Luis Perez from TrueView Inspections and his partner, Michael Almanzan, from also LUXE Properties and TrueView Inspections to tell you all about the home inspection process. So, Luis, I'm going to pitch it to you first.
Sure. I'm ready.
Tell us a little bit about you, TrueView Inspections, and how you got started.
Well, my name is Luis. Like you said, I'm the owner of TrueView Inspections. I'm married. I have two daughters, a 14 and a 10-year-old. So I'm going through like that whole teenager stage. Oh my goodness. I'm an active martial artist. I'm a big time fisherman. And I started TrueView because before being a home inspector, I was a general contractor by trade. So I got my general contractor's license in 2009. And I worked in projects, and I was a punch-out superintendent for different buildings. Actually, Merrick Park, where your office is, I was a punch-out superintendent in that building.
Very cool.
There. So,
well, you did a good job because the building's still standing, so that's really important.
Yeah, you would be surprised if you knew the backstory there that I knew. Anyway, so then I got tired of that because it was like working 6 12s, 7 12s. It was a very demanding industry, and I got an opportunity to work for Citizens Insurance doing re-inspection. So going behind home inspectors and checking their work. And I was doing that for a while. And then in 2017, I hit one of the toughest moments of my life. I went through a divorce. And when you have 2 children and you go through a divorce, it's like a dark moment. And a lot of people, they either go south or you succeed from there. And I remember that my best friend at that time, he had a background in digital marketing. And me and him got together, and I went to him because he was a mentor of mine also at church. And I said, Jonathan, we need to do a business together. I need to bring your expertise, mix it with my expertise, because if you don't do this, I'm afraid I'm going to lose myself. And TrueView was that escape. And that's how TrueView was birthed. There was that escape in 2017 where we started it. And now we've been able to grow it to one of the largest home inspection companies in Florida. And that's why it means so much to me, Wes. That's why this is so important to me, because not only was it my rock, what I focused on during one of the toughest moments in my life, but through TrueView, I met now my future wife. And it's given me so much. It's blessed my family. It's blessed my life. It's given me my wife. So, when Michael came to work for us, I talked to him and I said, this is why this is so important to me. This is why I work so hard. This is why I give it my all, because it's a part of my life.
I love it. I love that you shared so much. That's really interesting. I didn't know that you were a GC. So that gives you such a different perspective than a lot of home inspectors out there. So you've seen everything from the properties being built to then also when they get damaged, who's coming in there and has to fix it all up. And now you're seeing it from the buyer side. So you have such a great background that really helps and empowers buyers. And you have turned that company in what? I guess it's not even 10 years yet, into a powerhouse in inspections here. How many inspections are you guys doing a year?
Last year, we actually did a little bit under 6,000 inspections. Wow. So it was 5,888 buyer transactions last year.
Very cool. Very cool. So I'm going to go to you, Michael. Tell us a little bit about your background and how you came to start working with TrueView.
Yeah. So as you mentioned, I'm a real estate advisor with LUXE Properties. I'm what you call a LUXE lifer. I've been with LUXE since 2018, and really, haven't veered off the path. LUXE, it's crazy. You guys, honestly, now that I've been visiting other offices, done presentations and teaching classes, the community that you guys have built here, we've built, because it's obviously I'm a part of it, it's honestly, it's one of a kind. I
appreciate that. And you're part of it. Exactly. And obviously, and you're one of our best agents, have been with us and seen you grow. And now you're venturing into new projects, which is really cool to see as well.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So in addition to being a real estate advisor with LUXE, I'm also a brand ambassador and podcast director, as well as co-host of True Talk podcast, which is a podcast we're getting ready to launch. We're really excited about it. It's something that we both were passionate about. And this is one of the things that actually brought us together was, trying to take this, our marketing efforts in a different direction, trying to, take it to the next level. The old school way of, visiting offices and doing lunch and learns and, that doesn't work anymore. It's really, you have to have a different approach.
Relationships.
100%. So that's really, what I bring to the table and what really brought us together was, formulating a different strategy of how we want to continue growing the business. One side was, the podcast, which we're getting ready to launch. And the other side is being more intentional, with our strategies and how we are targeting agents that we want to work with or we want to recruit.
Yeah.
And taking a different approach, not necessarily, having a broad strategy, but a much more narrow strategy. I'm literally cold calling agents, using a lot of the things that I've learned as an agent and using him, in this role, which really it has helped transcend and catapult us to where we're at and what we want to be doing. So.
You know what, Wes? Like when I just heard that he's been with you since 2018, it blew me away. You have so many agents that have been with you for such a long time. And this is an industry where there's not a lot of loyalty.
Yeah.
And that means that if you're able to keep sharks in your tank, it means that you've built a shark tank big enough to keep them there.
Well, that everybody could win, right?
Yes.
That's the goal, right? That we got to make sure that we're leading everybody up and everybody continues to level up no matter where they are. And the tank has to keep getting bigger.
Exactly. You've done a phenomenal job.
Thank you.
And I say people haven't been able to do that.
I appreciate it.
Agents that leave end up coming back, like a lot of them, like at a higher percentage than most other brokerages, which is testament to what.
Like you, we work every day and we put in that work and we make sure we're doing right by the clients and we, show up weekends, mornings, nights, whatever, and always working on getting better every day. But most importantly, taking care of our clients, which is going to lead me to my first question for you guys and switch gears a little bit. So let's talk to the viewers that are buyers in this market, right? And what are the most important things for whether it's a first-time buyer or a repeat buyer that they need to know that is important in the inspection process for them, right? A lot of people are scared of the inspection process when they're like, oh, is it like a pass-fail? And I'm like, no, it's not a pass-fail, right? So a lot of even first-time buyers are like, did the inspection pass? It's like, no, it doesn't pass, but what do they need to be aware of or walk us through like the process of an inspection and why it's important?
Well, I think that the home inspection process shouldn't be a process that's scary for a buyer. It should be a time of excitement.
Okay.
You have your home under contract. You're almost, you could see the light at the end of the tunnel. You've gone through a process of being ready financially, getting a contract accepted. So the home inspection is the part that should be exciting. And it gives you an opportunity to know what's wrong with the property and how to move forward with that. So the home inspection also isn't only designed to tell you what's wrong with the house.
Yeah, that's
It's
true.
designed to tell you what's good with the house as well. Even though some home inspectors have that mentality that I only have to go in there to tell you what's wrong.
Yeah.
But no, I got to tell you what's good and what's bad, because the reality is that every house has both.
Yeah.
Now, for buyers who are watching this and want to know more about the home inspection, the home inspector goes into a property, is going to tell you all the major, all the way to the minor things of a property. Okay. And chances are that once we do a home inspection, you're going to get like 100-page report. But the reality is that don't freak out. There's things that need to be addressed immediately, but then there's things that are like a honey-do list. And it could be like a project where over time you should go and correct those things, because we tell you from the major structural components down to cosmetic items.
Okay.
And those are the things that a buyer needs to understand: the roof, the structural, the electrical, the plumbing, the AC, the interior cosmetic components of a home. It's like going to a general medicine doctor practitioner. You go there, you sit down, you're going for your annual checkup. They're going to check your knees. They're going to check your joints. They're going to listen to your lungs, breathe in, breathe out. And then they're going to say, okay, let's go do some blood work. And then you're going to come back and get your evaluation. You have to look at that home inspection like a general medicine doctor doing a checkup on your body, but of a house.
Well, thank you for reminding me, because now I need to go book my annual. I'm like, now that you're saying it, I'm like, okay, this is a great time to do that. But aside from that, that's a great way of looking at it. And I haven't even thought about that. Inspectors should be telling us what's right about the house. A lot of times we're always looking for what's wrong. We're trained for that, but what's right is important.
Of course.
Now, you mentioned some of the main things that you're looking for, but what are you truly looking at when you're doing the inspection in those main items? Like, what are you looking at for structural, for roof? Like, what are you seeing as a big picture that like things that they should be aware of, at least when they're walking through a house before they go under contract, that maybe they could catch on before they go through that process, if that makes sense?
Of course. And that's very important because knowing that in advance could possibly save you from going through that whole home inspection process.
Yeah.
And I think there's things that you can't see, but there are things that you can see. And mainly it's a lot of it is asking questions.
Okay.
Right? When was a roof built?
Okay.
Do you have copies of roof permits?
Mm-hmm.
Why? Because depending on the age of the roof and whether there's permits or not, you may not be able to get insurance. So now you go under contract, you put the property under escrow, you pay for a home inspection only to find out that you can't insure the property because there's issues with the roof. What age is the AC? Mm-hmm. Most AC systems last 10 to 15 years. But once an AC system is 10 years old, that's like a car that has 100,000 miles.
Mm-hmm.
So you already have to understand that, okay, I have an older AC, right? So it's like, do not get under contract because you have an older AC.
Yeah.
But it's good to know so you could start getting those right expectations.
Exactly.
And knowing those things.
Yeah.
Some things like there's some more technical things such as electrical panels and things like that. And it's not really common for home buyers to walk into properties and start looking at electrical panels. But look, my dad told me when I was younger, when I went to buy my first car, we went together and he said, when you go buy a car, you open up the trunk and you look at the trunk. And when you look at the trunk, then you know if this is a car that's been taken care of.
Mm.
I was like, huh? Oh my dad, you're crazy, right?
Makes sense.
But guess what? When you walk into a house, do they look like people who take pride in their home and take care of their home? Open up the closets. What does that look like?
Yeah.
You know, that gives you a good story on how the house was taken care of.
Yeah. Did they just try to make it look nice for showings, or have they taken care of it that entire time? Some things you're bringing back so many memories for you, because some things I've learned from you guys specifically, and I love, is I actually learned that there's a website that you guys could check the age of a water heater and the AC from you guys, which is like one of the coolest things, because a lot of times you could see the year on them, but there's many that you can't. Yeah. And so you guys taught me that. I think you guys also taught me about the septic search. So you guys are a wealth of knowledge when it comes to things that you could really learn for before you go under contract instead of after.
Of course.
Now, you talked about general inspection. What about specialized inspections? Do you also offer those, when it comes to septic tanks, anything specific? What other inspections do people need sometimes? I am of the belief that people should do as many inspections on the property that they want, and they should get to know what they're buying, because once they buy it, they're stuck with it.
100%.
Right? So they have that time period to figure out if it's, makes sense. And like you were saying, the AC, just because it's old, it doesn't mean you shouldn't proceed. You should just be aware of what you're buying and budget accordingly. So is there any other inspections that you feel like buyers should do when going under contract in that inspection period?
Well, I think you got to keep these numbers in mind. The first thing I want to show you, 1975.
Okay.
Whenever anyone is purchasing a home built prior to 1975, chances are that home was built with cast iron pipes. But just because you have cast iron pipes doesn't mean it's the end of the world.
Okay.
My house was built in 59 and has cast iron pipes, and I haven't replaced it. Okay. Why? Because I inspected them. They were in good condition, and they're still here today, and it's working perfectly fine. But it's also recommended to do a sewer camera, because one of the common questions that when we go to an inspection and a buyer asks is like, how's the plumbing? How's the pipes underground? And sometimes I wish I could say like, hey, let me pull out my special Superman goggles and tell you how the pipes look underground. I can't. And the reality is, Wes, that just by flushing the toilets isn't going to give you a true perspective whether it's running, because look what happens. When these pipes, they get clogs, they collapse, they break, they get roots inside the pipes. When you're flushing water and you're running water, the water's going to flow. It's not going to back up. The issue is when you flush a piece of toilet paper or a piece of wipes, right? And you've never seen a home inspector show up to a property with a roll of toilet paper and start washing toilet paper, that toilet paper on the toilet. You can't do that. But the way to do that is by doing a sewer camera. So just because the water's running and the toilets are flushing doesn't mean that it's in the good condition. So that's why you have to run a sewer camera to look at the condition of the pipes. And guess what? If there is an issue, that gives the agent an opportunity to negotiate on your behalf and address the issue. Or maybe you're getting this house at the right price and you're saying, you know what? I'm getting a steal here. I know the pipes are bad. I'm going to remodel anyways. So this is just something that I need to fix.
Yeah.
Along with that is like mold testing.
Okay.
You know, especially when you have situations where people deal with allergies and things like that, doing a mold test and air quality testing where inspectors take samples and send them back to the lab in order to check the air quality of the house. That's something very important, something very common that we see as well.
Yeah.
And when it comes to septic tanks, this is one thing that I want you to know, and you should know too as a broker.
I hope I know. Let's see.
I started hearing a story about a realtor telling me, no, I have this company that for $250, these home inspectors, they check the septic tank. I'm like, really?
No.
No way. In order to check a septic tank, you have to locate the tank. You have to open up the tank. You have to clean the tank in order to check the condition of the tank. And in order to do that, you need to have a big truck with a sump pump on it. And home inspectors don't carry that around. Those are like $200,000 trucks.
Yeah.
So a big piece of advice that I would give any home buyer or realtor who's working with a home buyer is like, okay, first check and see if the property's on a public waste system or on septic. Don't just believe what it says on Zillow or the MLS. That's a human that put that there, and they could make mistakes, and I've seen it many times. And number two, hire a septic tank company to come out to the property and clean the tank in order for the tank to be properly inspected.
Yeah. I love all that. And funny you say that. I actually just sold a property recently that during the inspection period, they figured out that the property did not even have a septic tank. It had a cesspool. So you see a lot of things here in South Florida, which leads to my next question. So you covered on some things that aren't a big deal, but maybe buyers think they are a big deal, like maybe the cast iron, pipes. If they're working, you might want to proceed with that. What are some other items that buyers think are a big deal, but necessarily are very typical in South Florida?
Michael, why don't you give this one a shot?
Yeah. So, I mean, I would say 100% it's mold. Whenever anyone sees mold on the report, they freak out. But it's, not something necessarily to freak out. I feel like, agents tend to project their negative emotions if they're negative, or if they, if they feel like it's something that doesn't have a solution, they're going to freak out, and they just project that. And then the buyer starts to freak out. And of course they're going to freak out in that scenario. So it's really, working with a buyer, with a realtor that, has been there, has done it, and has, the support from a broker, let's say if they are a newer agent, but, having that understanding that everything has a solution.
Yeah.
Everything, everything can, if it's the right house for them, it meets their needs, they can visualize their family growing there. There's really, no reason why that should stop you from moving forward with a deal. Now, in regards to like the technical aspect of the mold, I'm going to go ahead and defer to Luis here. But
and I think it's not so much what the inspector finds is, are you able to provide solutions to this? Because let me tell you when mold becomes a problem. Mold becomes a problem when the inspector does a mold inspection, gives you the report, gives it to the clients, and they're like, how do I fix this? What do I do next? I don't know, call a mold remediation company to help you.
Yeah.
And that's where that becomes a problem. And then what happens is that you start getting all these mold companies that go out to the property, and each one of them is giving you a different opinion. And this is like being a cook. I could be the best cook. I like to make hibachi for my family. I love putting on my hat, making the hibachi.
We're gonna have to do a cook-up. I love to cook.
And I make the hibachi, the fried rice. But if I let you come and put the salt on the fried rice, and I let you put the soy sauce, and I let someone else come and put the sesame oil, those are the secrets, sesame oil. What happens is that the chances of that fried rice getting ruined increases dramatically.
Of course.
So when you don't have partners, or that inspection company have partners, where they could say, hey, look, here's a mold problem. There is a mold problem. There was positive for mold. We recommend such and such company that will look at the inspection report and be able to provide you with a quote, whether you go with them or not. But that will help you for negotiation purposes or to give you an idea. You're providing solutions. But when that agent or that buyer has to run off on their own and try to find that vendor, bring them to the house, get multiple estimates and hear multiple opinions, that's when I see deals go south.
Yeah, at that point, they're already like, this is way too much work. Let me just find something that's not that, it doesn't even have this. And then chances are your next house is probably going to have a little mold too, right? And it's pretty common. And not all of them do.
Right.
New construction homes don't. But it is a common thing. So it's great that you point that out, that, if you're really looking for it in your wet areas, you're going to find a little bit somewhere.
And you know what, Wes? There's good that you said that because the saying, I'm sure you said it with Hispanic backgrounds. Te fuiste de Guatemala para irte para Guatepeor.
Yeah.
Right? So right now, I go to this house. Oh my gosh, I'm not buying it because it has mold.
Yeah.
And you cancel the contract. And then you go to the other house.
And it has something else.
And it has a cast iron pipes and electrical problems and a bad roof. And and that's how buyers end up doing 3 or 4 inspections. When I see a problem, I like to take the problem head on and try to tackle it and try to find the solution.
Yeah.
And then the reality is that there's certain buyers say, well, how do I not let this happen anymore? Get out of that zip code.
Yeah. Or work with an agent that might be able to mitigate that beforehand. Because what I like to do is I want to try to figure out as much as I can beforehand. So
Absolutely.
I am grateful that you guys taught me that. I want to see the age of the AC. I want to see the age of the water heater. How old is the roof? And so good agents, right?
I personally, now it's mental. I have a checklist that I go through. The roof, plumbing, electrical. Like even as an agent, you can tell if it's fuse box, if it's an old school electrical panel. Just open it, look at it. Like you can kind of get an idea of what it is. So those things you should already know before going under contract, before wasting your client's time, wasting their money on an inspection, and really, it comes down to how you prioritize these things and how you prepare and the expectations of how you operate, really.
Yeah.
And when you tell buyers this in advance, when you as an agent are able to pinpoint certain things and do your research and finding out these things in advance, that if you know there's going to be a problem with the roof, if you know there's going to be a problem with the electrical panel or with the AC, when that buyer receives the news from the home inspector, they're going to take it differently and it won't come as a surprise.
Yeah.
Look, it's like when you get on a plane and you're there on the plane and the pilot says, hey, everyone, we're going to go on the flight. It's going to be X amount of time. There's going to be some turbulence.
Yes.
The ride is going to be a little bit bumpy. Guess what? When that plane starts to shake,
You're fine.
I am more at peace knowing that the pilot told me that the turbulence was going to be there and that we were going to be okay.
That's a great analogy. Yeah. And I'll take it a step further. I mean, that's the difference between an agent that provides value and one that is just a door opener, as they say. Being able to do that from the start is invaluable.
Love that. So with that being said, we talked a lot about how agents could help prep. But once that report comes in and there are issues that are uncovered, what part does a realtor play in that process to get through that inspection period or help the buyer decide what's next?
So first and foremost, with me and how I operate, after the inspection, if I'm there and the buyer, whether they're there or not, I'm going to go ahead and do this either virtually or in person, hopefully. But I'm going to ask the inspector, hey, what did you find? What do we have to be concerned about? Before I read the report, before it gets, sent, which in reality, we have the fastest report delivery system, which is immediately after the inspection, you're going to receive the report before the inspector leaves the driveway, which is unheard of.
That's so great.
So efficiency wise, I mean, you can start game planning from that moment. Especially when demand starts to go up and inspection periods start to shrink, you need that time. Every minute counts. So I forgot where we were. What was the
question?
Yeah.
Well, what role does a realtor play going forward? But should the realtor be at the inspection now that we're talking about that?
I would say yes, at least at the end, so that you can get a rundown and you can see and touch, feel, what it is that's wrong. And I would say also if the buyer is able to be there at that time, absolutely.
100% agree.
Yeah. So, it helps make things smoother. You're not just reading it from a report. The inspector is, going to give you the information in a way where and again, that's something that we do at TrueView is the way that they are going to disclose the information to you is in a non-alarming, shock,
matter of fact.
Exactly.
Charge neutral approach.
Exactly. To the extent that the inspectors actually role play this scenario every Tuesday, if I'm not mistaken. They role play this in their inspector meeting. I don't know any other company that role plays, what I mean, to that level. And that's how important that detail is in regards to how they articulate this to yourself and to the buyer. And that really goes a long way in kind of mitigating that risk on their end.
Well, it's important because it's such like I said earlier, whether buyers, know it or not, everybody's nervous. They're nervous. Nerves could be good or they could be bad, right? Because it is a big purchase. And so emotions run high in that instance. So it's really important that we all maintain a level-headed approach and just look at it from what it is and how do we solve it, right?
Exactly. So
We have to address everything that comes up. So how do we solve it, and is it solvable, right?
So for a buyer, I would say, do your research on who the realtor that you have representing you.
Yeah.
And really that's what it comes down to. Is he a realtor that knows how to come up with solutions when these, issues arise? And also the inspection company that you're using. Do they provide solutions? Do they know how, to operate in that sense? Or are they just throwing you the deficiencies and then saying goodbye?
Well, I think a good realtor would negotiate, repairs, credit, or something, on the buyer's behalf, or at least make sure the buyer's aware of what they're buying. So then they know once they close, they could go to bed at night,
Absolutely.
right? And not get a surprise the next day, which is, I think, what a good inspector would do in the long run of things. And
Right.
I think we all agree that that's what it should look like,
Absolutely.
right?
Correct. And here's another thing. If I grab right now a lighter and I turn it on,
Yeah.
it's going to produce fire. But if I go like that, it's going to turn off easily. But if I grab that fire and I put it down on a stack of paper and I let it sit there, the fire is going to get bigger, and now I'm not going to be able to blow it out. I'm going to need a fire extinguisher. So I think a big piece of advice that realtors need to know is you need to be present in order to be able to put out fires in advance.
Yeah.
Many times realtors go to the property, they open up the door, then they go and they sit in their car and they talk on the phone. Let me know when you're done.
Yeah.
And the buyer's inside the house, walking around, wandering around the property on their own, and God knows what the inspectors are sending them. But then when issues arise, right? And it's like, no, because your inspector scared my buyer and killed the deal. What did he say? I can't tell you why. Were you there? Did you listen to what he said? No, I wasn't there. So how do you know that the inspector killed the deal?
Yeah.
So I think the realtor needs to be there. The realtor needs to show up. The realtor needs to be present during the inspection process, watching everything that's happening. Because guess what? You're in someone's house. People have personal items. Things could go wrong. Buyers ask questions. And then it's not that the inspector killed the deal. It's that the buyer was asking them specific questions. And the inspector, well, what is he going to do? Just sit there and just
of course.
act dumb and play dumb. And on the same thing too, I would say that the buyer needs to be present. As inspectors, trust me, it's a lot easier when the buyer is not present, but we prefer, and our client care coordinators during scheduling always encourage the buyer to be there, because it's different when I give you a report with 100 pages and you see stuff and you're like, oh my God. Then when the inspector's there, using our role-playing method, we have the SMILE method, which is called how we explain our reports in a specific way that every inspector needs to do it. But then we could do show and tell. And it's more like you're looking at it and you're getting scared, but you're concerned about this. Come, let me show you.
Exactly.
Yes, of course.
And there's ways. So have the buyer there, let the realtor be there. It's going to help the process.
Make it more educational in the long run. I have a question that came up while we're chatting. I'm just curious because I've been doing this a long time and I've done a lot of inspections. I've done radon, I've done mold, I've done seawall, I've done septic. I've done a lot, but I have never had a lead-based paint inspection done. So have you ever had a lead-based paint inspection done? I am so curious.
Think about this. Last year, we did almost 6,000 buyer transactions and we did 2 lead transactions. And it blows my mind, Wes, because buyers have to sign a lead paint disclosure.
Yeah.
Yet they're not doing lead-based paint inspections. And I know it's crazy because I grew up doing construction with my dad. That's how I learned that I became a general contractor because I wanted to help better my dad.
Yeah.
My dad came from Cuba in the 1980 Mario boat lift. He didn't know how to read or write. And he raised me, my brother, and my sister and taught me the good work ethic and taught me construction. So that's why I wanted to become a general contractor. And I remember as a kid, everyone used to go to summer camp. And I hated when school was over because I had to go to construction camp, working with my dad. And my dad used to put me in bathrooms, knocking down walls of houses built in Shenandoah area, breaking bathrooms with no mask or everything. And I'm like, man, if there was lead-based paint during that time, I don't know how that didn't affect me,
Oh my God. It's all right. Well, now I have 2 follow-up questions. Well, construction camp, I have so many questions. I mean, I think I'm about to send Ace to construction camp now. This is great. But aside from that, did any of those lead-based paint come back positive? I'm so curious. Like, I have so many questions.
I would say that throughout the years, all the lead-based paint inspections we've done, I've never seen one come back positive.
Okay. Interesting. I've always been so curious about that because everybody does have to sign that.
And there's ranges.
Yeah.
And when you get into the Northeast of the country, that there's homes that are very, very old, that's where you get more cases of lead-based paint. But the reality is that here in South Florida, the oldest homes are like early 1900s.
Yeah. And then when you think about it too, drywall doesn't really typically last that long. So most of that drywall has been ripped off and replaced. So now that, you know, that mold starts happening, we got to get rid of the drywall. We get rid of the lead at the same time. So very interesting. So another question, new construction. Do you think buyers need an inspection during new construction?
100%. Yes. I would rather buy a home and I would rather not inspect a home that's from 1950, all original, than not inspect a new construction home because it's a production home. Now, here's the good news. So buyers and realtors, a new construction is the only inspection you don't have to fear. You know why? Because it's the only inspection that someone's going to come behind that inspector and fix everything that's on the inspection report.
Very true. Yes, they get a 1-year warranty on top of it too.
Exactly. So it's the one inspection you don't have to fear. And it's a great opportunity because a new construction inspection, we've seen so many things that happen. Even sewer scopes. I know I highly recommend always doing a sewer scope in a new construction, even though it has PVC. There's different things that I've seen, such as sponges inside the pipes. Because the contractors leave a sponge in there. I've seen sponges inside the pipes. I see a lot of cement or grout inside the pipes. Because how does this happen? Well, the guy's upstairs doing the grout or the thin set for the tiles. He doesn't want to go downstairs to clean the bucket, so he cleans it in the bathtub or in the toilet.
Interesting.
Then he finishes the job. No one uses the plumbing in the home, so now that cement stays stuck in the pipes and it creates a blockage.
Yeah.
And I've also seen issues when they're compacting the gravel, where they compact too hard and they actually break the pipe or shrink the diameter of the pipe. But a new construction inspection has that dynamic. But then there's also the dynamic that it's different than a regular home inspection, because a new construction inspection is like buying a new car. Say that you're going to buy a car, let's say you're going to buy a 2022 Honda Accord. When you go see that car, you're going to look at the car. You're not going to stand in front of the car, look at the bumper, at the little rock chips that happen on the turnpike and say, oh my goodness, no, you need to lower the price because of this little rock chip, or get in the car and say, it doesn't smell like a new car. You need to lower the price. No. But when you get in a new car, when you sit in that car, you better have that new car set that's going to last you a couple of months, right? If you look at that bumper, there better not be any rock chips. And that's the benefit you get when you're buying a new construction.
Of course.
That you could do what we call a blue tape inspection, where the inspectors go with a roll of blue tape and they punch out the property and do a punch out and put a piece of blue tape on all the little defects and things that need to get fixed, the more cosmetic items that you know the developer or the builder is going to come behind them and fix it.
Love it.
Which in a used home, in a home that's already been lived in, you're not going over there and asking for the seller to repair stuff or seller contributions for cosmetic items.
You can.
But it's normal you're a share. You know?
I say it's circus special. 100%.
I might. So I think granted, you typically, they won't give it to you because you see it, but we could still ask. You never know. The worst thing anybody ever is going to say is no.
No. Sure.
Are there any other homes that we spoke about new construction? You just spoke about 1950s homes. Are there any homes that tend to have more issues than others that you see in this market, or at least in South Florida?
Yes. I mean, the older the home is,
the
more issues, of course, it's going to have. So for instance, like Coral Gables, right in your backyard, you have beautiful homes, but you have a lot of homes that have crawl spaces. So what's a crawl space? A crawl space is a home that's elevated from the ground and the foundation and the structure of the home is on wood. So imagine you have a home that's built in the 20s, the 30s, the 40s, and you have wood that supports it. So there's going to be wood rot. There's going to be more issues that occur with these homes. Naturally, there's going to be different odors inside the homes because of this. But then it's like, okay, how do you solve for those issues? Well, you may need to leave that whole area to find it, but then you miss out. You miss out on being in beautiful Coral Gables.
Yeah.
You miss out on being in a zip code in an area where property values skyrocket. That even if the crisis comes to this economy, the houses that aren't going to depreciate value are those homes in certain zip codes.
With the uneven crawl spaces.
With the uneven crawl space.
And the funky spaces and layouts. But yeah, it's, every market's different. So every home is unique, but I love that you're comparing it to Coral Gables. What's one piece of advice that you would give to buyers before the inspection?
Do your research.
Okay.
Not all inspectors are created equal. You're not buying an iPhone here. All
Okay.
iPhones are the same. Do your research. And what I mean by do your research is the following. Wes, it's so easy to become a home inspector. You want me to tell you how easy it is?
I mean, it's pretty easy to become a realtor.
Exactly. That was what I was going to say.
You do a 120-hour course, you pass the state exam, and now you're a home inspector.
Well, it's double the course that realtors take.
Yeah,
It's only
I know. That's crazy.
It's only 6 hours.
I know.
So, I don't know if we should be laughing, celebrating,
it's
or
sad,
being
to be
scared.
honest,
But hey, I agree with you. Not all realtors are created
Exactly.
equal. Neither are all inspectors. And definitely that's great advice for any potential buyers. And where can they find you guys?
So they can find us, on Instagram. We have a very good social media presence at TrueView. We also recently launched our podcast, True Talk.
We're not done yet though. So we still got to do rapid fire,
Absolutely.
but Instagram, and where else that they could find you?
Instagram at TrueView Inspections. You could go on Google and just put TrueView Inspections and be able to see our online reputation and our reviews, which is part of the research that I highly recommend, right? Check for online reviews, check the reputation.
Mm-hmm.
I would not hire a home inspection company unless I ask them for a certificate of insurance to ensure that they're also insured as well. So that was one thing I wanted to say.
Great point. Now, we always close out with a little rapid fire. So I'm going to ask you guys a few questions and you guys just pick what comes to you first or what resonates more with you. Both of you guys could answer each question. So we are going to start with cafecito or black coffee?
Cafecito all day. I drink a colada in the morning and a colada after lunch.
I'm the same way. Cafecito, nothing less.
That's where you get your energy from. Early riser or late night grind?
Early riser.
I'm a late night grind, 100%. Late owl, night owl.
Very cool. Crawl space or attic inspection?
Oh, give me the attic. I've seen snakes and stuff in the crawl space, and I'm scared of snakes.
I just had 2 snakes in front of my house in Coral Gables yesterday.
Well, I don't expect so.
All right, there we go. Nothing on the report or big inspection credits?
Big inspection credit, 100%.
Big inspection credit, right? It gives you an opportunity to upgrade and make more repairs.
I'm with you. I want to negotiate. I like to negotiate.
I agree. Yeah.
Old plumbing or old electrical if you were buying a house?
Old plumbing.
Old plumbing.
Oh, really? Why? Now I just got to know.
Because like a plumbing is going to cause, what's a plumbing going to cause? A leak. Old electrical could cause a fire.
Exactly.
Okay, good to know. Suit and tie or polo and slacks?
Suit and tie.
Suit and tie.
All right. Last question. New construction or older home with character?
I like a little character.
I'm going to say new construction, and just because of the savings that you get on your homeowner's insurance.
That's a good point.
That is a good point. But you don't get to live in Coral Gables with all the pretty trees.
No, but you could get new construction there in Coral Gables, West. Come on, Coral Gables on fire.
I know.
You know?
Very, very true. Well, I just want to say thank you guys again for coming on to the podcast. You Can Sit with Lux. It's been a pleasure hosting you both. If you don't follow them already, please follow them. We are going to share their pages. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Wes. It was fun.
Signing off. See you next time.